Hello, in this video I want to talk about an issue that I realized rereading my book, Philosophy on Health Skepticism, as well as a post I had made a few videos ago, a couple of weeks ago, in regards to the Zeno paradox. I seem to have jumbled up two concepts I was trying to talk about at the same time, two paradoxes, the Fermi paradox as well as the Zeno paradox in relation to with regards to the Zeno paradox. There's in the Zeno paradox, just to give you an overview here, there's Achilles and a tortoise, and every time Achilles sees this tortoise that's essentially running the same race as Achilles, the tortoise, every time Achilles catches up to the tortoise is slightly a bit ahead, and there's a sort of infinite relationship here, sort of infinite regress, in which every time Achilles gets there, the tortoise is always ahead, and Achilles can never necessarily get to the same spot as the tortoise, even though he can reach the same position as the tortoise eventually. So there's a relationship between time in regards to motion and space and one's position in space. And when it comes to space in terms of a habitable zone and finding that common habitable zone, we can look at exoplanets that have the same conditions of life, but when we get there, there doesn't seem to be any, in this case I'm connecting it to the Fermi paradox, terrestrial life. So any, or not terrestrial life, particularly civilization or meaning life in general. It has signs of life, but not any confirmable life forms that we can identify in terms of a species, just biomarkers. And so this goes to more illustrate the point of the habitable zone, which is distinct from the main topic that I was trying to discuss in terms of the relevance of the Fermi paradox, which is stressing that if life is ubiquitous in the universe, so it's very common in the universe, then where are the aliens? Where are all the other civilizations? And it turns out that life actually isn't that common in the universe. And when we combine the Zeno and the Fermi paradox together, we sort of get this interesting problem in which we can identify a habitable zone and get to this understanding of also Goldilocks effects, which is a separate concern, but a Goldilocks effects in regards to planets in which it would require certain characteristics and special conditions in order to support life, so placing us more in this physicalist realm, as well as also understanding the differences between life and civilization, and detecting civilization and life in the universe, and particularly distinguishing biomarkers from species, as well as from civilization technologies and stuff that would be more visible and easier to spot in the universe. So when we combine the Zeno and the Fermi paradox, we can get to the gist of the point I was trying to make there is, like, why haven't we seen any aliens? Well, there's probably a threshold for where civilization could have had a start, and that would be after the habitable zone. So there would be the habitable zone, and then a period in which there would be the capacity for civilization to begin, because it takes a certain amount of years of development on a planet, on a particular exoplanet, for that to for us to reach to a civilization level, and for there to be developments where we could put out or emit signals and show that we have technology in which another foreign exoplanet could observe that and start to hypothesize, not necessarily speculate, because we can speculate from biomarkers, but hypothesize based off detecting images, say, of a satellite in a different galaxy. It's like, we didn't build that. Why is there a satellite floating there? There has to not just be life, but a civilization, right? So this is a bit of a combination of the Zeno paradox and the Fermi paradox, though we never have gotten to that point, and it might just be a matter of time of actually resolving some aspect of the Zeno paradox by understanding that it takes time for civilizations to develop in regards to planets, and there's so much space and territory that's unmapped in the universe that we still haven't spotted any. And once we get these two figured out and we start to move along that continuum in particular, and because likely we're part of, and if not the first civilization that we know of, at least that's all we know of, to exist in the universe. So when we go to make claims about the life on other planets, and particularly if there are aliens and alien civilizations, it's important to proportion our judgments to an understanding of where that civilization zone will begin shortly after a habitable zone, through understanding our own and understanding of the practical and theoretical implications based off what we currently have data on, rather than speculate too far on. But we can speculate on these ideas in regards to a philosophy and develop hypotheses at where we can look at and measure and observe the areas of development in regards to the habitable zone, such as biomarkers, and compare biomarkers here on Earth with biomarkers that we can detect on various exoplanets. And when we do collect data, if we do collect data on, say, floating satellites or spaceships somewhere else that happen to get caught, that are clear and that are high quality, then we can speculate further on the development of civilization and where that could have began, and form more accurate predictions based off that. So resolving the Zeno and the Fermi paradox, which likely won't be for a while, as we're not even quite yet at a civilization type 1, and that has to do with our environmental mastery. But the exciting news is that we're developing capacities for terraforming, and we're still not even a civilization type 1, so we're reaching planetary mastery, not just of our own home planet, or our native planet, but close by planet within our native galaxy, and that's Mars. So it'll be really cool when that happens, and that's another sign potentially for another civilization to detect us and for us to potentially make contact. And if we spot something like that occurring somewhere else, then hey, it looks like there might be a bit of a space race, and that kind of circles back into the whole Zeno paradox and where my head was at the time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this discussion, and that's going to be all for this, and I'll be clarifying that in the official publication of my book, as well as subsequent additions and edits, and in subsequent videos, but probably less than other topics in other upcoming videos. So I hope you enjoy.